Here tonight, I'm going to turn this down right here. Hold on. Let's see here. Boom. That's good, I think. Good afternoon. I appreciate everyone being here. Thank you all so much. Here you go, babe. Lakin and I went to the birthday party for her twin siblings and her, since it's her birthday tomorrow. And so that's why I'm oranged up. It was a luau birthday theme, and so I am an orange today. Not big orange, never big orange, because that is terrible. But it is good to be back here. I appreciate Terry and Steve and Wesley for filling in for me last Sunday. Everything went very smoothly, and I'm thankful for that. But tonight, that is it. We could not find the PowerPoint, and I was so sad because we really do need it. But Kenny is the best, as we all know. And so the PowerPoint is up, thankfully. Thank you, Kenny. As we have been doing for the past few nights now, Sunday nights. Sunday night is going to be for us for the next few little whiles. I like a few little whiles. And so I want to read for y'all in Matthew chapter 13. And if you will, go ahead and turn there with me. Matthew chapter 13, a very familiar passage, but one that is so profoundly just amazing that I don't ever want to not read it when the time is appropriate. And so Matthew chapter 13, starting in verse 3, the Bible says, He spoke many things to them in parables, saying, Behold, the sower went out to sow. And as he sowed, some seed fell beside the road, and the birds came and ate them up. And others fell on the rocky places where they did not have much soil, and immediately they sprang up because they had no depth of soil. But when the sun had risen, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered away. Others fell among thorns, and the thorns came up and choked them out. And others fell on the good soil and yielded a crop, some 100-fold, some 60, and some 30. He who has ears, let him hear. Now the thing was, his disciples, and I'm sure many of them who were standing there listening to this great parable, did not understand what it was that Jesus was talking about. Jesus almost always spoke in parables. He almost always taught with stories. And as we know, parables are just earthly stories with a heavenly meaning. And so the disciples came to him in verse 10, and they asked, Why do you speak in parables? And then if we go down a little bit, in verse 18, Jesus explains the parable of the sower. And he says, Hear then the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word of the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what has been sown in his heart. This is the one on whom the seed was sown beside the road. The one on whom seed was sown on the rocky places, this is the man who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. Yet he has no firm root in himself, but is only temporary. And when affliction or persecution arises because of the word, immediately he falls away. And the one on whom seed was sown among the thorns, this is the man who hears the word, and the worry of the world and the deceitfulness of wealth choke the word, and it becomes unfruitful. But verse 23 says, And the one on whom the seed was sown on the good soil, this is the man who hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears fruit and brings forth some 100-fold, some 60, and some 30. This whole parable is about evangelism. In that, like we talked about this morning, Jesus was looking for quantity instead of quality. Because notice, the seed was sown everywhere. Beside the road, in the thorns, in the rocky places, and on the good soil. The seed was sown everywhere. And for those who have a good heart, for those who hear the word and grasp onto it, who want so badly something better, like we talked about this morning. These are the people that we have a chance of reaching. That does not mean that we should not try to reach everyone else. And so, tonight we're going to go through a few things for training. And as we did for previous times, I don't want this to be completely a lecture. If you have questions, please ask, and I will try my best to explain some things. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is the compassion cards. There has been quite a bit of confusion around them, and so I'm going to give you two options. The way that we've been doing it and the way that Lakin has devised that might be easier. But after this is the way that we're doing it, and so I'm going to ask y'all whichever one you like the best, okay? And so you have to answer tonight, because this is how we're going to be doing it for the rest of the time. The way that we have been doing it is you come over here. This stack of cards represents one person. Okay? This is one person. In fact, this is Jeff Kendrick. Many of you will remember him. He was here, 4 months ago now? He was on fire for a while, and then he stopped coming. And so we're trying our best to reach him first and foremost through these cards. This is Jeff. What you're going to do for each and every single one of you, not for a family, but for every person in this building. And remember, this is the third Sunday, and so that side has it at the moment until we figure out another way. But that side, for y'all, you're going to take a card. This is your card for Jeff. You're going to write on the card a note, perhaps a scripture. I'm praying for you. I hope to see you again. We miss you. And then you're going to sign your name. Just you has and signs this card. You are then going to place it in the bin corresponding to Jeff. You are then going to come to Ryan. Ryan, this stack of cards, represents another person. Ryan, he was here about 2 Sundays ago. He was here 2 Sundays ago. He was visiting with his girlfriend. He lives in Madison. And so we're sending him cards because he visited and because we want to reach him with the gospel, and we're doing it through the cards. You're going to come to Ryan, and you are going to take a card from Ryan's pile. Right? We're happy that you came to be with us. Thank you for being here. We hope to see you soon. You are then going to take Ryan's card and put it in the corresponding bin. You will do this for each and every single stack. Take one card from each stack, write a note on it, and put it in the bins. Now, the past couple Sundays, we've seen a bunch of cards being sort of all jumbled up together. They've been a little bit cattywampus, and so keep them in the piles, right? Don't put Jeff's over here with Ryan's, because that wouldn't make any sense, right? And so, do we have questions about what that method is? Okay. Second method. I'm giving you two. And so, whichever one that you want, that was the first one. Whichever one seems easiest to us is how we're going to do it. So, second method. Lakin has spent a lot of time thinking about this, and so thank Lakin, not me. The second method is that this right here, right? Correct, okay. So, that was the first method. This is something completely separate, okay? This is something different. The second method is that we will have this stack, and Miss Rose, this is your stack to do for every single person, okay? Not just Miss Rose, but for everyone, okay? So this stack has cards in it for every person that we are trying to contact. And this will be a stack, and there will be more stacks. It will be about 15 to 20 stacks that you can pick up or sit down and write down on. Now, if you will notice, and I don't know if y'all can see it, so I'll come a little bit. If you'll notice, right, these cards have a little tab on them. On the tab is a number. This is number 5. The number corresponds to one of the contacts on the prospect sheet. And so on the prospect sheet, which we haven't yet, but we will, no matter what, we will this next Sunday have it on the tables. The prospects will be numbered. And so if Jeff is number 5 card is Jeff. Okay? And you will write a card for Jeff. This way, you don't have to worry about going from station to station. You can just sit down and look at the number and see the corresponding person, and you can just sit down and just write 15, 20 cards if you want. Ed?
Okay, so we talked about last week, and even when we first started 2 weeks ago, that you'll have a little yellow sticky note or maybe on a prospect sheet who they were.
Yes.
In other words, visitor. Just
Yes.
something a little bit that we know who they are.
On the prospect sheet, whether we do this method or not, on the prospect sheet you will see the name, the corresponding number. Okay, so if Jeff is number 5 card is for Jeff, and you will see, Jeff is someone who was here and we want him back. Okay, or for Ryan, who was a visitor 2 weeks ago, you will see, number 2 card corresponds to the number 2 on Ryan's name, and you will see that Ryan was a visitor, and we want to reach out. Lyndall?
So if we do it this way, there will be a copy of the prospect sheet.
Yes.
Stack of cards.
Yes, for each stack of cards, we will have a prospect sheet right there, so that you don't have to get up and go looking for it. You can just be right here, and you can just sit down, and boom. You don't have to move. You don't have to reach for other cards. You can just have the cards here, look at the corresponding number, see who they are, what they need, and write it down like that. Any questions at all? Yeah. Yeah, we'll have multiple prospect lists out. Ms. Ross?
I'm sorry, it may have been explained back there.
Oh, it's okay.
I didn't hear it. Understand it, but we will have the name.
Yes, so...
Because I always start mine with the name.
Absolutely, yeah. So this is... let me find it. This is the number 5 card, okay? On the number 5 card, it will correspond on the prospect sheet, which will be on the table at each of the stations. So you don't have... Imagine this is the prospect sheet. Prospect sheet, stack of cards. Okay? So it'll be right there. You can just sit down, do it like that. And on the prospect sheet, the people will be numbered. And so the number 5 card will go to the number 5 person. If Jeff is the number 5 person, then you will write a card for Jeff on the card that says number 5. And so you can just write their name down. You're like, this is Jeff. This is Miss Rose. We miss you. We want to see you again. Right?
I write slow. I will probably carry my stack.
So then you can take the prospect sheet that we have and just do it like that. So, any other questions? Lyndall? Yes, that will start next week. We've already got all these, so that will start next week. We'll continue doing it the way we've been doing it this week if we decide to go with the second option. But this week we'll do it like we have been. Next week we will start with this new. Ed.
I like the idea of taking the cards home. If you got a stack, and like Chris mentioned, you got to think, what do I want to say? And maybe right here after worship service, it's like we're busy, we want to see each other, we're talking, and then, our thoughts go different ways. So how long do we have? If we take these home on
Okay.
Sunday,
So that's very important. Okay? So, I will say, we need to mail these cards out every single day. That's what I want. That's what we want. Okay? So, if you take the card home on Sunday morning, try to have them back Sunday evening. If you take them home with you Sunday evening, definitely have them back Wednesday. Okay? If you, for whatever reason, and life happens, right? If you, for whatever reason, don't get a chance to sign the cards, don't keep them at home. These cost money. Bring them back so that we can reuse them for something else. Okay? Just make sure if you take them home with you, you get them back here as soon as you possibly can. If you need to, I'm in my office Monday through Thursday, 9 to 2. So, bring them here. If you need me to come get them, I will do that. Not if you live an hour away, but I don't think anyone here lives an hour away. But bring them back as soon as you possibly can. Because if everyone takes them, if we take every single one of them home on Sunday morning and we don't get them back until Wednesday evening, that's 2 days, 3 days that we've lost, that we could have sent cards back. So, any other questions at all? So, remember, Miss Betty?
If we do the second one,
Mm-hmm.
will it still be that side doing it one week and this
Yes.
side doing it
Mm-hmm.
another
It'll be the same thing like that. Yeah. Just so that they don't get the same people doing it every single week and we don't get burned out from doing it. Yeah. So, just to recap, the first option is the option we've been doing. Every stack represents one person. You take a card from each stack, write something on it, put it in the bin, and then you go to the next station, do the same thing. Second option that we are proposing is that each stack is your stack that has numbers that correspond to numbers on the prospect sheet, which if you want, you can take home. You don't have to, but you can. That you have to get back in as soon as you possibly can. The second option is a little bit, it's a little bit more responsibility on our parts, right? That we have to get it back in. But it is probably easier. So, first option, second option. Raise your hand for the first option. Raise your hand for the second option. Okay, sounds good. Lakin, you were right. I was like, no, they're not going to want to do that. But Lakin knew. Lakin was like, I think they're going to do that, Josh. And so that is what we will do. So not this week, but next week we will start doing it like that. I will make sure to have the corresponding numbers on the prospect sheet. I will have multiple copies of the prospect sheet that you can take home, or you can just sit down and do them. These cards, they don't have to be long. They don't have to be, a thesis or anything. Just something nice, something sweet, something simple. Andrea?
How often are each of us individually writing these cards?
So like this side, this week will be your time. Okay, so you only had to write one card for each person,
Right.
once a week. And so then next week it'll be this side. Okay, and
So every other week then?
so every other week, yes. Lakin?
I'm gonna have kids stack.
Yeah.
I'll have them stack just for.
Yeah, so Lakin had the great idea that if anyone here has kids, and I know that there are people here that have kids, maybe not Samuel yet, but Lakin's going to have like a kids stack, a kids area, that if they want to write something or maybe put some stickers on some paper, we will mail that with it, because who doesn't like getting mail from little kids? Hudson wrote Lakin a birthday card today, and I cried. It was super adorable. But that was a great idea from my beautiful wife. And so, anybody have any questions, any comments, anything? Miss Rose?
Would it be okay if I wrote cards from both sides?
Oh if you
Be something that I could do.
yeah, if you want to do cards every week, go for it. Like, the more the merrier. Absolutely. Terry.
In the long run, how many cards will a person get and how often will they get them?
So, in total, like, perfect world, each person would get 60 cards over the course of 3 weeks. Okay, so this is a little bit different, Lyndall, from what you were talking about earlier. And so we have been doing these cards now for 3 weeks, and we've been sending it to the same people. Okay, now this is a little bit different, but just stay with me. Next week is the week that we are going to make contact. Okay, and we got to talk about that, right, a little bit more. But next week we will be making contact with these people. We have sent them cards for 1 week, 2 weeks, now it's 3 weeks. Eventually, I hope that each person will receive 60 cards in the 3 weeks. Next week, being the 4th week that we're sending cards to each of these people, we're going to do 1 card for each of them. Okay, so it's a little bit different. Don't get stressed out, okay? Don't get stressed out. But next week, being the 4th week for this group of contacts, we're going to have 1 card each, and we're just all going to sign our names for each of them. So, make it a little bit simpler. This is Jeff, right? We remember Jeff. Right now we're doing it like this. Next week being the 4th week, right? The 4th week is very important because it's the week that we're going to make contact with people. The 4th week, this is Jeff's card. This will be Jeff's only card. You just have to sign your name. Okay? Just sign your name on it. Everybody. Sean, sign this card. April, sign this card. Terry, sign this card. Robert, sign this card. And everyone else. Okay? This is Ryan. We remember Ryan. This is Ryan's card. This is Ryan's only card next week, the 4th week. Okay? Burl, sign this card. Tommy, sign this card. Brianne, sign this card. Everyone sign this card. You don't have to write anything on it. Just sign it. So, for 3 weeks, we're going to do it with the second option that we said. Okay? After 4 weeks, we're going to have a new set of contacts. Okay? Which is why it's important that we continue to get your contact cards, which are on the evangelism table out there in the foyer. Continue to get those in, because next week we're going to have a completely different set of people that we're trying to reach. Not next week, 2 weeks from now. Next week, we're still going to be on them that we have right now, but it's going to be just 1 card for every person, and we're all going to sign that card for each person. Okay? Because next week is the week that we go see them. I don't know if we're going to have any success. I have no idea. No, this is the first little piece of people that we're trying to reach. We're still getting in the jive with it. Y'all know what the jive is. Most of y'all anyway. I'm sorry. But I don't know if we're going to have any success with this group of contacts.
But God knows.
Exactly.
We're just planting water.
Exactly. We don't know. I have no idea. But God knows. We are planting the seeds. We are doing our best. And it is in a fashion that is organized. We're being intentional about it. We're not just going out willy-nilly everywhere, talking to random people. You should do that. Please do that. But this is an intentional act with people that you all have given to the church. Okay? We have the names. And so I don't know if we're going to have any success. I don't know if it's going to be successful years from now. But this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to find the good soul. Chris, then Robert. Chris? Uh-huh.
There was a visitor, but now are attending.
Yes.
Do we change that to an encouragement card?
I would, yes. And so we need to sort of tweak that a little bit, yeah. So like,
We still continue to send
Mhm.
cards to employees, even though they're already done.
yes, I would tweak that. So Jimmy, right? We need to tweak his a little bit. Next week, we're going to go see him. Right? We're going to go see everyone on this this group of contacts. And so, yes, you're absolutely right, Chris. We do need to tweak it a little bit from week to week, depending on what it is. Robert.
So, you have a group of people that you're sending cards to
Yes.
for 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have a visitor come in week 2,
Mm-hmm. They go on there.
they wait 3 weeks before we send
No. As soon as a visitor comes in, we put them on the list and we send them cards. Okay.
I was confused about
Yeah.
that. If you have a group, then you finish them and you start another one.
Yeah.
I think when we have a visitor or
Mhm.
someone that's sick, or
Yeah.
someone like that, we need to do a card right then.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely agree. And so there's been a few people that have been sick. If y'all have anyone that is sick right now that needs some encouragement, needs some yard work done, get them in, right? Get their name on a contact card, because we can't send them cards if we don't know what their address is. We can't go see them if we don't know what their address is, right? And so absolutely, visitors who come in on week 2, they go on the prospect list that day. And we send them cards as soon as we possibly can. Because we don't want to wait 3 weeks until we don't remember us, but we're just going to send you cards, right? And so we want to get that as soon as possible. Joe?
I have a question about the envelopes. She stressed that if you write the card, you should be the one addressing.
I would prefer that.
But there are no envelopes here.
Yes, there are so many envelopes. I have so many. They're in there in the filing cabinet, away from anybody's line of sight. So we're going to start doing that. So absolutely, Joan. Thank you for reminding me.
Can you repeat that, what she asked?
Yes, and so she asked about envelopes.
You don't want it's one person addressing all the envelopes, because I know what I would do if I kept getting one from Party Church of Christ with the same handwriting. Half of them would probably be.
It's been awful.
So that's why I was wondering.
Yes, and so
Do you have a stack of envelopes with our stack of stuff? with our
yes.
list?
So what we're going to do from now on, once we start with this new method in 2 weeks, okay, is that we're going to have the cards with the numbers, and we're going to have an envelope with it. And since you will have the prospect list, you will have their address, you'll have everything that you need, and so just turn them in. I have the stamps, I have the return address labels, and so don't worry about any of that. But yes, when we start this new method, we will have the envelopes with the cards so that y'all can write the addresses on it and save my hand, because it's been awful. And I have terrible handwriting. Lakin has done quite a bit of them for me. Ed?
Is next week going to be impactful that we have church eat church, we won't meet Sunday night?
I don't think so. Next week, it's going to be really simple next week. We're just going to have, how many people do we have? 11? There's been a couple that have had wrong addresses. And so we have 11 cards. We're just all going to sign 11 cards. And so it's not going to be a big deal. And we can just do that right then. Okay? Burl.
When you send these cards out, are you sending one card per letter? Are you sending 13 cards that we filled out to that one person in one envelope?
Not in one envelope, no. We're doing separate envelopes for all the
In
cards.
a separate envelope address that's sent to the mail system to
Yes.
individual folks?
Because it's more impactful, I think.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Anything else?
The initial contact, just how do you do, sort of thing?
So, that's a great question. next week when we make contact with the prospects, we're going to talk about it a little bit, the elders and I and some other of y'all, a little bit more because we haven't formed a great game plan on it. I have some ideas. But this is going to be door knocking with a purpose. So usually when we door knock, it's just random people's doors that we go to, and we have nothing to give them except maybe a flyer or something. But when we make contact with these people, they're going to have been receiving a whole bunch of cards from us. And so they're going to at the very least, know what the Farley Church of Christ is. Okay? They're going to know Lakin's name. They're going to know, all these different things. They're going to know that we love them. That's what we want. We want them to know that we care about them, that we love them. It's not fake, right? We're not faking our love for, more contribution. This is real love. We're doing this because we love people. And so we're going to go to them, going to go to their house, and we're going to have something in our hands. I don't know exactly what yet, but we're going to have something to give to them. And we're just going to have a conversation. The ultimate goal of all of this is a Bible study. That probably, not saying it's not possible, but probably won't happen when we first make contact. Might, but probably not. And so what we want to do is make sure that they know that we are here, that we love them, that we care about them, and that we want them to come. And then when they come, hopefully they will, when they come, because they've seen so much of our love and compassion cards, right? Then we can strike, right? We can get them, take them out to eat, just get to know them. Never forget this: evangelism does not work unless we form a relationship with people first. Not a fake relationship, but a real, good foundation for a lifelong friend. Because with with God, that person is going to be a Christian sometime soon, hopefully. And because they're going to be a Christian, they're going to be in heaven with us. That's the goal. That is the whole goal of all this. I don't know what's going to happen next week when we go to see these people. This may, by and large, be, something that we just see what we need to do, what we need to change, how we can do something better. But we're going to try. And that's what we got to do. Because we haven't been trying for a while, but we're going to try now. And so, Lyndall?
We start our contacts. We have a team, we start our contacts, get people.
Yes.
We got to contact everybody.
Yeah. It would be very inefficient if 2 people tried to go to all 11 houses. And so that's something we're going to have to talk about. Get some teams together. Probably not 11 teams, maybe 11 teams, don't know. Probably like 4 or 5 different teams that can go up and do that. Mm-hmm. At the moment, yes. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. That's why I'm going to talk to very smart people to figure out another way to do it, right? So, very smart people, please give me advice. We're about out of time, so give me advice after, maybe. I would love that. Miss Betty?
What was the question?
Chris asked if we're just going to show up at their house. Possibly, is my answer. Unless somebody tells me differently. That's what we're going to do at this point. Might call them first. Have everybody's number. We'll just have to see. But that's how the compassion cards are going to work from now on. We're not going to waste any more breath on them because we talked about them quite a bit. And so 2 weeks from now, we're going to get into some pretty good stuff. Thank you, Kenny, for finding this. I'm sorry we didn't use it at all. But we're going to get into some really cool stuff. That, always a bunch of that. And so, yes, Miss Rose.
Heart to Heart used to have a paper pamphlet
Mhm.
that was mailed out, because we used to do
Yeah.
that for years
We still do it.
through zip code.
Mhm.
Are we doing that? Is that being done now?
We are doing that right now. We've been doing it. It was done 3 years ago? 7 years ago? 7 years or 7 years ago? 7 years. After Dale left, it's sort of, right? But we've been doing it now for about a year since I've been here. And so we're doing that.
If these names have been, of people have been getting that, then they're a little bit familiar.
Yes, and we are going to talk about that hopefully next 2 Sundays from now. We're going to talk about how we can use House to House, Heart to Heart more effectively. Because at this moment, we've just sort of been mailing it out willy-nilly, and we haven't really done anything with it. But we're going to talk about how we can use House to House, Heart to Heart, the pamphlets, the flyers, not flyers, the little magazines that we mail out. We're going to talk about how we can use that more effectively. Linda?
Right now, there's no guarantee that everybody that might this didn't get it.
No, and they have not. They haven't. We have a limited area that we can send it. It's really just like around the building. And so we're not going to hit, people near the Arsenal or something, or Madison. But we're going to talk about how we can use it. Okay? Anybody have any other questions? We're definitely way out of time, but this is important, I think. Next week, 2 weeks from now, we will get into some more stuff that we need to get into. And on Wednesday, start plugging you all into your jobs. And so just be ready for that. Everybody's got a job. So tonight, I don't know if anything I've said tonight has stirred anything, but tonight, if you are not a Christian, and in this audience, I don't know if anybody is. Samuel doesn't count. He's perfect. But if you're not a Christian tonight, please make that right. There's nothing more important than your salvation. That's the whole reason that we're doing any of this. If Christianity was just a social club, then we wouldn't have to do this. We could just come in every Sunday morning, night, Wednesday evening, and we could just sit here, have a grand old time, listen to me go on and on about just different things that didn't matter. But the truth of the matter is, Christianity is not a social club. It's not a country club. Christianity is a lifestyle. And we come here to worship God. We come here to be uplifted by the saints. We come here because we want to learn more about Jesus. Christianity isn't just something that we do once or twice a week. It's something that we do every single day because it's who we are, not what we say that we go to. It's who we are. And so tonight, if you're a Christian, but you have sin in your life that you need to repent of, again, I don't know your struggles. I don't know your heart. But God does. God knows what each and every single one of us struggle with, and He knows our hearts better than we know ourselves. Psalm 139, my favorite psalm, for those of y'all in our song class, y'all know that, says that there's nothing that God does not know. It says that since before you were born, God has mapped out your footsteps, and that God knows you intimately and deeply. It can be scary when you think about that sometimes. But it doesn't have to be. If you're living your life right, if you have been baptized for the remission of your sins, there's nothing that you have to worry about. If you haven't, make that right tonight. Come forward now as we stand and as we sing.